Whew. Hi, my name's Amani. Welcome back to my channel, Amani's Vibe. If you like what you see and hear, I encourage you to like and subscribe. Um, okay, so I'm gonna talk about, I like to call what I do think pieces. There are other people that do reviews and recaps. I kind of watch a show and then sometimes things really stand out to me. And I have a whole conspiracy theory. I'll try to leave that till the end and not start with that. But I'm doing think pieces on episode 7 and 8. So that's a Thursday and Friday night. Tonight is going to be After Sun with special guests. Ayala is going to be hosting it, which will be interesting. With Sally, if you saw Love Island Games, I'm really interested in seeing that energy. And of course, Janae Craig and Serena Page are going to be special guests today, spilling some of the tea or just talking about what's been going on with them since they left the island. So I think After Sun will be, I really like After Sun. I'm glad that they have it with the USA version. I don't watch any of the other Love Islands, so I actually really like it. Okay, so what stood out to me on Thursday night, like on episode 7, was a whole Chelley, Ace, and Austin thing, and I'm trying to understand. So actually, like I said, I don't really know anything about Austin. I have peeped a few things now since the show started. It's kind of hard to avoid things because they pop up everywhere, even if you're not on social media. Like I can be sending an email and things pop up. But I actually really do like his kind of goofy personality. And I actually think Chelley really likes him. I don't think she's pretending. I don't know these people. It just seems like it's really hard to fake the funk, you know? And maybe, this is all new for Austin. And he's like, hey, I'm just going to give this a try. I mean, we'll all find out after, right? I was saying to a friend of mine that in some ways I wish that there was a way that people couldn't do deep dives and research into each of the people on the show way before the show starts, or if there is a way that the show could start with the families and that's when they're posted, because it's just like, I remember last season, the season before, like as I got more and more into watching the show and kind of, seeing things on Reddit or on Instagram, there's just a whole other like discourse and conversations about so many things. And I tend to not really take it in. I read everything with a grain of salt, but it's just for me, it has actually been nice watching the show and just watching the show because I didn't look at anything else when it started. Now, now that it started, I may look to see like what other people said if they did a review like for episode 7 and 8, but I haven't looked at anything yet. I think I looked at one thing that Chloe Johnson when she posted. And I also think it's interesting how there can be so many reviewers and that we see completely different things. I actually think that's cool. Like there might be some people that see the same thing, but I kind of like that. Anyways, Chelley, Ace, and Austin. I feel like there's so many triangles in this show. It's crazy, but um Ace, I don't know. Like I'm trying to, he has different personalities. Like when a new Islander comes on or a bombshell, he turns into Oprah, like laying back, asking them questions, being all suave and debonair and mature and talking to them until he picks them, that is. Just ask Maya. And then with Chelley, he's just like, it's I'm trying to tell, like, is he still just testing the waters, or Ace, like, what is up with you? Are you a player from the Himalaya? Are you, did you and Chelley, this is conspiracy theory now, Did Chelley and Ace make a secret agreement before the show that if they both got on, they knew that they wanted to be together, so they would not act like they really knew each other because that could be held against them? Okay, that's my conspiracy theory. I've let it out. I'm done now. Okay, so episode 7, you see Taylor. He's trying to, up his game when it comes to Alondria, and it's he's an interesting guy. I like him though. He seems to have a good sense of humor. Him and Ace are really close, and Ace seems to be like his advisor. I'm trying to figure out if that's good or bad, but Taylor kind of worked out a little side date um, on the island, or as I say, the house on the island. That's not a real house, but they really are in Fiji, but not in Fiji, but you know where they are. Anyways, so he sets up a side date for Alondria, where Ace is going to give them some dance lessons. 1, 2, cha cha cha, and they're going to learn a little bit of salsa. And I thought that was cute. That was cute. Okay. And I liked how all the Islanders joined in. What seems to be really good, there is a real camaraderie. Everybody really seems to get along. Now, all I wrote here on Thursday is Jeremiah and Huda, and I have nothing else written there. I think that's me just saying, yeah, it's so hard because I'm so aware from watching the seasons of what editing can do and how much they can cut out. So how we're not really seeing how loved up they really are. And Belle Bella, actually did watch her interview with Chicks in the Office, and she said like they really are close. And that's, they'll do that. Like that's what producers and editing decides, like what each character is going to be. Now that's something I learned about when I first watched Love Island and watched somebody that used to be on The Real World, and he explained all that. I mean, I knew it, but really hearing it from him has made me watch the show differently. And I did that last season. Like I could tell what they were doing. Now this season, I think they're doing a good job, like I said, with the diversity. Jeremiah and Huda, like it's a lot. I think it's a lot for him to take in. He's on a show to find love, and her having a child, there's nothing against that. It's definitely different for this type of show. But I think because she does have a child who's 4 years old, she's definitely more intense. And she seems to be really wanting these deep, deep conversations. And Jeremiah will always be like, it's only been 3 days. It's only day 7. So I think it does stress him out. She definitely puts a lot of pressure on him. And that's it. Just, it's hard to watch sometimes. Charlie, the note I have for Charlie is that Charlie is as dry as a chip. That's a saying that we have in Nova Scotia. And it's just the truth. He's like, so, the way he is, right, is like the way he talks is just so dry, and he doesn't seem to be very expressive, but I know it's like he really likes Hannah, but he's definitely dry as a chip, and Hannah is definitely bored by him. So these are the notes I had before Ariana Madix came in with some whips and dressed in leather and said that they were going to have a leather and lace party. Then everybody rushes to get dressed in their S&M gear. And it's I don't know y'all. Like sometimes I'm like, when I watch this show, sometimes I'm torn between what is happening. It's a lot. I literally I will be like this during some of the kissing. It's a lot. It's a lot for me, but it's okay. It's okay. I was young once too, not kissing in public on TV. So like, man, I don't know how. I always say, how can they do that? Are there breaks in between for like mouthwash and all of that stuff. I know they get a lot of tests and medication. I know they can't be on the show if anything's wrong. I know there's a lot of testing prior to, but man, I just could never do it. So after they each kiss their partners, and that's the women, it's really the women kind of being seductive to the guys that are handcuffed to an ex. They turn the tables a little bit and they bring in three bombshells. And the bombshells, Pepe, like I always want to say Pepe Le Pew, but I'm going to call him Pepe l'Espagnol, Pepe, Jalen, and Iris. And they are there to cause trouble. Pepe has decided he really wants Hannah. Iris has decided she wants Nick. It's like that show, Everybody Loves Chris, everybody loves Nick. And Jalen is all about Alondria, and he is a Southern guy from Georgia, you know, a lot more buff than Taylor is. So, you know, we kind of leave Thursday night with a bit of a cliffhanger after this happens, like what's going to happen next. So then it's Friday, episode 8. What I have here is that Huda complains a lot. And I know it can be editing, you know, but she really complains a lot and she comes off as very ungrateful. You know, they have this scene where Jeremiah made her breakfast, and instead of her saying thank you, she's like, no protein. Then she talks about it not being cooked enough. Then she announces that she's going to make breakfast. And, you know, then Taylor helped her make another set of pancakes. But even if it's editing, I find it's just so emasculating for Jeremiah. And you can see it. And he always says things to her. He does stand up for himself. He's always like, why do you talk to me like a child? Because she almost is like, there. Oh, that was good. And I'm getting tired of it. But I know it's something that they do to make it look worse. But I just think it reminds me of years ago, there used to be a commercial. And the kid would come in and be like, Dad, I got your raise. And the dad would be like, don't slam the door. And it's kind of like that thing of where somebody is doing something good, you know, for someone else. And then the person, they don't focus on what they're doing. They just kind of are very ungrateful and talk about something else or ask for something else. And that's what we saw of Huda with Jeremiah. And I've seen it before. And I'm just wondering, I know he really likes her, but I'm just wondering how much more Jeremiah can take. And this was at the very beginning of the episode. So then I have, as I say, Pepe l'Espagnol and Jalen. Pepe l'Espagnol is a very interesting looking guy. He said he played professional basketball for a few years, and now he owns a gym. He works with youth. And then Jalen is a trucker. So I'm going to assume that he came on Love Island to completely change his lifestyle. I don't know. It's interesting watching each of the seasons, what happens after the show. Season 6 was an anomaly. That has never happened before, where they get off the show and it's kind of instant fame. So I'm just wondering if Jalen has a backup plan, because he's such like a small town country guy, which is all good. But being a trucker does take up a lot of time. And Alondra did ask, like, what's your schedule like? You know, when do you have time? You know, and he said he works and he's off till Thursday. So with the introduction of Jalen, that makes another triangle. So we have Ace, we have Ace and Chelley and Austin, and now we have Taylor, Alondria, and Jalen. It's like isosceles, like just triangles everywhere. And then Pepe and Charlie and Hannah. So Hannah Hannah, Hannah, Hannah. I have here, my note just says, Hannah is a naughty girl and she wastes no time at all. She does not, Hannah, she's very forthright about how she feels. She already knew she was going to be in trouble with Charlie as soon as she saw Pepe l'Espanol. And yeah, and she pretty much has followed through in what she thought and she would do. But Pepe is interesting because what I is interesting for me, I'm gonna have to use some of these tactics. It's almost like there's a theater game, or they say in interviews, like, how you copy the person's posture. And I've noticed like Nick does it, Pepe l'Espanol does it. The way when they talk to the other islanders, they agree with like whatever they're saying, right? So also when Iris talked to Nick, and he's like, what do you do? And then he's like, yeah, yeah, I like that too. And Pepe did that with Sierra and with Hannah. So when you're looking at it, you kind of think, oh, maybe he might go for Sierra, but he said he was there for Hannah. And I tend to remember what they said first, and that seems to be what they stick with. And Charlie, sorry, Charlie, sorry, Charlie. Charlie, Charlie, Charlie did try to be a bit aggressive, like when Pepe l'Espanol wanted to talk to Hannah or have a bit of a date time with her in the kitchen, and then Charlie was like, "No, so you'll have to go somewhere else because I'm about to use the kitchen. I'm gonna make whatever he's gonna make." Um, I was like, "Okay, good for you, Charlie." But honestly, he is dry. Like, he's really dry. We really don't get to see his personality. And I did look this up. I looked it up somewhere, and he's in a boy band in the UK, and he definitely is not giving boy band energy. But I figure what happens when you get in these situations, it just must be hard, I think, and it just changes who you are. Or maybe you have a game plan, but whatever's happening with all the cameras and stuff, maybe that's why Charlie has ended up being like this. Um, so Huda and Jeremiah, I'll just talk about them a little bit more. They ended up having, a bit of a fight, a squabble. Huda is like demanding of Jeremiah to do more. You know, all the other girls, they're having all these great dates and planning for them. Like, why don't you plan anything for me? Why don't you do anything for me? And I'm like, Huda, he's been making you breakfast every day. Huda, you told him that you have a child and he did not run. He actually took it in and is still talking to you. So, like, that is, a good thing, okay? Um, so don't negate it. Don't negate it. Um, so I don't know, Huda. I find myself looking at the screen, just shaking my head like, when Casa More happens, like, Jeremiah is going to be running to the hills, because whoever's watching the show and taking in what she's doing, they're going to really, really, I think, like, really compliment him and be there for him and just really be positive. But, stranger things that have happened. He might stay with her, but it just looks like he's really discouraged. And the show kind of really ended with that. Now, I don't know. I'm in Canada. I'm in Canada sweating. Let me just stop for a fan break. Whew, whew. That was good, y'all. Okay. Oh, that's even better. Okay. Woo! Okay. Anyway. Yeah, I just needed that. So, yeah, America gets to vote after the Friday night show. And I did not go online. I think it makes me a little bit stressed out seeing how the fans would be like, we're not voting for this one. Vote Iris for this. Vote this one for that. And the episode ended with Iris and Ace. Let's talk about them. Ace, he turns into like Oprah or something when a new person's there. He has this thing. His whole stance changes. He leans back and he's always so inviting. But he did the same thing with Amaya. And then he completely was like, don't touch me, don't talk to me, we can't do anything. So I don't know, Ace. Like I can't, I literally have not, do not have them figured out. I don't, I can't, I don't know. I don't understand. I just don't understand, right? But he seems to be really into Iris, and he says like she's his type, and then they kind of end the scene with her going off to look at something and saying that, she wants to look around the villa a bit more and that she hasn't been in the sauna. And Ace is kind of like, hmm, should I stay here? Should I go? What about Chelley? As if he's, but I'm going to tell you something. He is not shook about Chelley whenever somebody new comes in there. And then it's almost like he just, they say keeping somebody on a tight leash. He keeps Chelley on like a loose leash, unless again we are not seeing a lot of the other conversations that they're having in between, which I'm sure we don't see because that's just what this show does, and it's only an hour. They can only do so much. So Friday night ended and the fans get to vote, and we will not find out what happens until Sunday. And then I'm doing my think piece on Saturday. So After Sun's going to be tonight. So there might even be a little bit of tea spilled. Janae and Serena are going to be surprise guests. Well, not a surprise because we know. Elin is hosting it, which I think is a little bit messy because Chelley is definitely like the Love Island USA ambassador. She does the interviews when they're finished. Now she has a Chelley phone. But for those of us that watch Love Island games, I just remember Elin and Chelley and Jack and Justine. Okay, didn't mean to bring it up, but yeah. And that's the hard part about watching these shows. I mean, I'm invested really just for the show. But I have noticed since Chelley has been off of Love Island, like since season 2 when her and Johnny, that whole debacle happened, or debacle. I don't know what the word is right now. She's really spent a lot of time like working on herself, traveling on her own, focusing on herself, and really like using the time to evolve. And there was like a short period of time where she's like, I have a boyfriend, and I don't know who that was. But from the outside looking in, Chelley has been pretty much solo since. So I'm interested to see the energy between her and Elin and After Sun tonight. Yes, but I'm also excited for Friday's show because it's going to be a mess. Like, what's going to happen? And you know what? I like Amaya. She's very spicy. There isn't anybody there to match her energy, so she stands out even more. But I just like her. Like she's like a wild card. So I look forward to seeing who America voted for. I feel like they're definitely going to try to put Iris with Jeremiah because people are tired of seeing how Huda's treating him. And Huda definitely has shown signs that she'll be a complete loose cannon if she's not beside Jeremiah or if he doesn't look at her. She's already shown that early in the season when they had like the baseball games and Sierra and Hannah came in. She seems like she can become unhinged very easily, which I think, some people love that for TV. I don't. Like, I want her to be okay. But man, I hope that Alondria and Chelley and the other young ladies are talking to her and telling her to chill. Like, she really is complaining too much. And one thing you should never do is compare yourself to other people. Nobody else on that island is as glued together as they are. And I just find like the other thing she seems to do always is like, well, if they're having a disagreement, well, well, do you want to shower together? Or I don't know. Then she just kind of tries to drape herself all over him. There's like this physical thing she does. And when I look at Jeremiah, he just seems to be struggling. And he also seems like he could be afraid to go against what she wants. And that's never a good thing. So I don't know what's going to happen, but I think Friday night's going to be really, really exciting. Anyways, those are my thoughts for Thursday and Friday. I'm really looking forward to After Sun, and I'm really looking forward to Sunday night. I think it's going to be a whole lot of. And that's what's up.